Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and spending great time. Welcome in today's webinar. We are very excited to have you all joining us today. In today's webinar, you will learn some key strategies on how to speak in English language with complete fluency. But before that, I would like to provide a very brief introduction to Afghanistan Open University. Then I'll be leaving the floor for Miss Afsana. Afghanistan Open University is the first free tuition organization that offers different services for students through online courses. This organization is connected with more than 80,000 students directly and 800,000 students indirectly through four different sectors and services. Our first service is short courses. We offer English classes from beginner to advanced levels, as well as preparation classes for the international exams such as TOEFL, IBT, IELTS test preparation, and Duolingo test preparation. In addition, we provide professional classes, including graphic designing, Amazon training, introduction to programming, and more. All of these classes are available at a very low cost for commitment. The duration for each class is 3 months, and we have experienced instructors for each class. And for the preparation classes, we have native speakers as our instructor. Also, we'll be offering the free actual IELTS test for 3 top active students at the end of IELTS class. The second service that Afghanistan Open University offers is informative webinars. Each week we host 3 to 4 online webinars to provide valuable information about different topics and fields. Our third service includes libraries. We manage 4 active libraries with over 300,000 students and members. Every minute, more than 10 different books are uploaded based on members' requests, and we ensure that students have access to different books within 5 minutes. The fourth service we offer is scholarships and career support. We assist students with scholarship applications and provide guidance on how to prepare recommendation letters and complete application forms. The 3 sectors I mentioned, including webinars, libraries, and career centers, these services are completely free. Just for the short courses, we get a very low cost in order to have committed students who value to our services. We aim to educate our people, especially girls who are deprived of education and cannot participate in face-to-face courses. And I want to say to everyone that you can join us and enhance your skills through our online courses we offer with the best teachers and international self-paced courses we provide for each class. Before leaving the floor for Ms. Afsana Behroz, I want to say that students, those who stay till the end of today's webinar, will be awarded a 50% discount for participating in the IELTS and special speaking classes. So stay till the end of the session to learn key strategies for speaking English with complete fluency, and don't miss the discount. And now I'm leaving the floor for Ms. Afsana, and she'll is going to start her presentation. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Ms. Afsana.
Okay, hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. This is Afsana talking. I am going to be your instructor throughout the semester of IELTS speaking. I hope we can have great time together. As you all know, this is a kind of seminar in which you're going to learn about speaking part of IELTS examination. Okay then. In the very beginning of this seminar, I would like to introduce myself. As I mentioned, my first name's Afsana, but you can simply call me Afsoon. That's my nickname. I've been teaching English for around, let's say, 10 years. I studied English literature for BA, and I am pursuing my education in master's degree in teaching English as a foreign language. I'm going to talk about things we're going to do during this semester because I think it would give you a nice plan and it would pave you the way to try to actually prepare yourself for IELTS examination. Our main focus is on how to speak fluently as well on the test. Now here I'm going to tell you what we're going to do during these sessions. If you just give me a second to share my screen with you. So would you please tell me if people can actually see what I am sharing? Okay, that would be great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to actually give you a kind of introduction to how the test is going to be. Um, the test will take 11 to 14 minutes, as you all may know. So this might be quite simple when you hear it, but actually it's not, because in 11 to 14 minutes, this is the only time you have to show the examiner how well you can speak English. And as far as I am concerned, this is academic or something else. If you're going to sit general test, there is actually no difference. Um, Now, do you have it? I just, do you have the new page? I am actually turning the pages. So can you tell me if you have the screen, the new screen, I mean?
We do have the third page, the
On
third
top, you can
slide.
see which of these subjects do you think, huh?
Yeah, we do have all the subjects, and this is the third slide.
Okay, that's great. So, here on this slide, as you can see, oh, you are not, so there, you're not what I am actually magnifying. This is bad. I don't know what to do. So, I hope you have the pages or the screen. Anyway, there would be some topics, or let's say subjects, that the examiner is going to actually ask you. The topics are mainly about work, studies, where you live, especially your home. The topics in the first part are not very difficult. Let's say, I don't know, talking about the experiences you have had, or I don't know, the news, or how to solve a problem. So, the very first part, it's going to go a little bit smoother than the other parts, and it just going to takes around 2 to 3 minutes so far. Okay, next slide. As you know, a native English speaker will get the band score of 8.5 to 9. Getting this band score requires lots of studies and requires a lot of hard working. I can tell you that you need to practice a lot if you want to get a high band score. If you call yourself an intermediate plus student, then this class would be great for you. And yet you are not able to go sit straight for the exam, because you might get around, I don't know, 5.5 or 6 without being studied, without actually preparing yourself for the test. This cannot actually help you. You need to learn strategies, you need to practice, you need to be familiar with how the examiner is going to challenge you. Then I can tell you, by hard working, by studying all the time, and dedicating yourself to the plan of studying, of course, you will be able to get band score 6.5 or 7. What else I'm going to tell you? Here are the 4 criterias for IELTS speaking, actually, the 4 criterias. The very first criteria is pronunciation. So as you can see, actually, accent does not matter anymore. I don't know if you're having American, British, Australian, Irish, Indian. I have no idea. But the thing is that they don't care. They don't care about what kind of accent you have. The only thing that matters the most is how you pronounce the vocabularies. That is important. Where you put the stress. How do you say it? The other thing that matters is your lexical sources. By lexical sources, we mean the circle of vocabularies you have activated in your mind. I'm not telling you about the vocabularies that are not active, because, we all study vocabularies every day, and we actually confront them in lots of readings, pieces of news on websites, yet they are not active. A vocabulary can be called active if you can use it in speaking without thinking about it. So, your lexical sources, by which I mean your active circle of vocabularies, the ones that you can actually use in speaking. The other thing that matters the most to the actually examiners is your grammatical range and accuracy. How well you can tell and show the examiner that you are familiar with the range of grammatical structures. You should be able to show off your abilities. And the last thing that matters is fluency and coherence. How well you can speak without saying, well, I think, stuff like that. Fillers are not allowed to be used during the test. I think, stuff like that. Fillers are not allowed to be used during the test, as you see. So you need to be fluent as well as coherent. Um, I've got some vocabularies here for you. The first vocabulary, let's see by random how you actually pronounce it. You can raise your hand if you want to read the first vocabulary. Mumtaz, please.
Mr. Mumtaz, you can unmute your mic.
Hi everyone, I have not the screen.
That is okay, honey. I actually closed it because I wanted to write it in the chat box. Now, in the chat box, you have 2 vocabularies. Would you please read them? Mumtaz, do you hear me?
Yes, teacher. Photography, number 1 photography, and number 2 photographer.
Okay, thank you so much. Well,
You're
you
welcome.
almost didn't have any difference. You didn't put any difference between them. They are a little bit different. But let's see what other people can do. Nilufar, please.
I should read this 2 once.
Yes, the same 2 ones, please.
Could you hear me?
Nilufar, we can hear you. Do you hear us?
Yep.
That's great. Please read the same vocabularies for me.
Photography, photographer.
Okay, thank you so much, Nilufar. Let me see. We have Yasin. Would you please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, photography and photographer.
Thank you so much. Well, you almost pronounced these vocabularies wrongly. And this is what I mentioned a bit earlier on the slide. How much pronunciation is important. To put it better, I can tell you that pronunciation is really important, though accent is not. Now, the first vocab is photography. The point is that most of you put the stress on the first syllable. But the thing is that the stress is on the second one and will say photography. So this fit sound is not actually pronounced. It's photography and photographer. And that is why I'm telling you it's important to pay attention to the pronunciation. This 10 years of teaching has given me the experience that mainly most of the students are not really good with listening to audios. Any package of course book you study has an audio file. I don't know if it's interchange, if it's top notch, if it's English file, American English file, you name it, I'll tell it. Most of the students do not work with the audio files, and that's why they kind of stop in the middle of the way and they won't progress. They have not worked on their pronunciation because some students think pronunciation is not as important as any other part of the English. They focus on grammar, they focus on vocabulary, but they do not focus on pronunciation. Even if they listen to a piece of listening, they just do it for the sake of learning something, for the sake of learning vocabulary, for the sake of learning a structure, or ultimately for the sake of just giving a summary to the teacher. That's not the point. The point is how correctly you can pronounce a vocabulary. And the most important point is that how you are able to show the examiner that you can pronounce this vocabulary correctly. Okay. Let me move on a bit, see if there is anything important I'm going to tell you. No, I guess that's all. Of course, there are lots of other points you need to know about IELTS examination. There are some fits I'm going to share with you during the classes. But for now, I'm going to tell you what we're actually going to do together in case we start a class together. So I'm again going to share my screen. Okay. You all have the screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you so much. This is the course book, let's say, that we're going to work on during the classes we're going to start. This is one of the best course books available on the market, which is dedicated to speaking for IELTS. It's Collins Speaking for IELTS. Back then, the actually front page was kind of different. There was this madam or lady holding a book in her hand and standing in front of a university or something. That was the second edition. If I'm not mistaken, this is the third edition. Or probably this is the second, the other one was the first. Anyway, this is the latest edition available, Speaking for IELTS. We're going to work on this book. But by working at this book, I don't mean we are going to go through the lessons each session. No, no, no. Well, let me tell you about the contents. As you can see, the contents, we have 11 contents, excluding the last one, because the last one is just a practice exam. The rest of the contents, the first one is about people and relationship, family matters. Healthy body, the topic is health and fitness. Studies and work, education and work. The world around us, which is mainly about nature and the environment. Communication, mainly about language and communication. Technology, which is about science and technology. Hobbies, about employment, finances. Childhood and youth. People and places. Well, this one is actually going to be in handy or helpful in the very first part of the speaking test. Culture and modern society. We have lots of questions about culture on especially part 3 of speaking. Holidays and travel. So these 11 topics are among the highly rated, most common topics asked in speaking test. Are we going to teach you all about these topics? Of course not, because I am going to dedicate the whole time of the class to you practice speaking. So what are you going to do? Your job during the semester is that you have to go through each unit for each session. As you know, we have 12 sessions almost, and we've got about 12 topics, say 11, excluding the last one, because in the last session, we're going to actually review all the tips, strategies, and stuff we have gone through. And also, I'm going to give you some chance to talk, receive feedback on your speaking. So for each session, you have to pre-study one of these units. Therefore, for the first session, you have to pre-study this lesson about people and relationships. You have to do the activities. In the activities, you're going to learn a lot of vocabularies. If you remember, I told you in the first part how lexical resources are important. Therefore, with the help of this book, you will be able to boost your lexical resources and make them active. You will learn lots of vocabularies: ambitious, blunt, clever, creative, got fun, and you're going to learn their definitions. Memorizing the definitions is going to help you a lot. Not just because I ask you. I'm not going to ask you anything. I'm not going to tell you, hey, what is the meaning of creative? And you have to give me a definition. No, that's not like that. But knowing the meaning of a vocabulary is what's going to help you during speaking test. Because the more you talk, the more successful you're going to be. The more you paraphrase what you say, the better score you're going to get. And you see, the definitions are somehow paraphrasing, are somehow summarizing one word, but with lots of other words. So it's going to help you if you just memorize them. You go through the topic, the whole unit, and then I have actually prepared you a little pamphlet about each topic. I'm going to give you parts 1, part 2, and part 3 questions. I'll ask you, you talk in the class, and you actually receive feedback. This is the best thing you can do in an IELTS speaking class, to talk and receive feedback. To talk and receive feedback, nothing else. This is what I am going to do in your class. I think I don't have to tell anything, but I'm going to actually give you some time to ask me questions in case you have. So I'm here to answer your questions. If there is any question, please raise your hand. Yes, Mumtaz.
Um, Teacher, when we should talk in the class?
All the time. You have to
All the
talk all
time?
the time. I call on you. You probably might not get the chance to talk every session, but you will definitely have the chance to talk. If you are volunteer and you are ready, you will be called. You know what I'm saying? If you are not called, you're going to listen to other friends or classmates, see how I give them feedback, because students usually have the same problem. Therefore, that would be great for you as well.
Teacher,
Yes.
I have an offer for you. Can you please give us some new words for us to pronunciation it until we could have a good pronunciation?
Of course, I am going to work on your pronunciation. I'm going to give you some feedback based on the way you talk. And also, I'm going to provide you with a pamphlet. A pamphlet is something that I have written it. It has some tips about how to pronounce it. It has some tips about vocabularies based on each topic. I'm also going to give you feedback offline during Telegram channels or groups. So we will be in contact most of the times. And if you're a good student, you are not going to miss the chance or opportunity. Thank you so much, Mumtaz, for asking your question. Next person, Marjan. Um, Abdullahat Nouri.
Teacher,
Uh,
I think that they have not your voice.
Yes,
they
ma'am.
don't have my
Hello.
voice? Yes,
Hello.
they do.
Hello, guys. Can
Hello
you hear
there,
me
how are
okay?
you?
Thank you very much, ma'am. I really appreciate what you're doing here. And I hope I'm not
Thank
getting
you
ahead
so
of
much.
myself. I just wanted to ask, like, is it important to speak fast in IELTS speaking or other types of exam, for example, TOEFL or Duolingo, or it's important to take our time on and just go fluently and take our time, slow and steady wins the race.
Well, the answer to your question is neither. Okay? Neither of them are correct. It's not like you have to take your time and think about everything they ask you and, little by little talk. This is not the correct way of doing the speaking. Also, if you speak so fast, it would make it a little bit difficult and problematic for the examiner to understand what exactly you are talking about. So I think a very normal speed of speaking is what's expected.
Well, thank you very much. And how we could make that progress or that style of speaking?
By practicing. You need to practice every day. You need to talk every day. By coming to the class and receiving feedback from your teacher, an experienced one, of course.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I really appreciate your asking question. Next person that is raising hand. Mirvays Shirzad.
Hello, madam.
Hello.
Uh, 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 as you thought, madam, about the pronunciation. I want to ask about the importance of phonetics and phonology. Do you think that everyone should master their skills, or they can master their pronunciation by learning phonetics and phonology, like IPA or any other thing like this? What do you think about phonology?
Thank you so much for asking. I'm not asking you to be a master of phonetics and phonology, especially if you're if you're actually short of time and you're going to sit IELTS exam very soon, then you don't have time to go through phonology and phonetics, because both phonology and phonetics are a kind of science, and usually masters, people who study TEFL, go through that. It would be very time consuming, though it would be rewarding. But I'm telling you, it's very time consuming. So instead of focusing on the phonetics of a vocabulary, the best thing to do is to listen to that vocabulary's way of pronunciation 10 or 20 times, or even more, as long as you master it, as long as you can pronounce it correctly. Listening a lot and repeating and using it in speaking can help you to master the way you have to pronounce that vocabulary. Say, for example, I told you, how do you pronounce these two vocabularies I wrote in the chat box? I don't want you to go through dictionary, check how it is pronounced, photography. No, I just want you to have a kind of dictionary that is a kind of pronunciation, a vocalist who would pronounce it for you. And then you hear it, photography, you repeat, photography, photography, photographer, photographer. And by repeating it to yourself, and that's what I mean by practicing, you are not going to actually pronounce it wrongly once again. You realize this is not photography, this is photography. This is not photographer. No, no, no. It's photographer. So just practicing and listening, repeating, practicing again can help you. No need to master phonology. Okay, someone else on the list. Habibi Khan? No. Let me. Parveen Bavar? Or Mahila Yazdan Panah? And I've called you. Hello? Parveen? Marjan?
Hello, dear teacher.
Hello?
I hope you all be fine, and my class fellows too. I want to
Thank
ask
you.
about assessment. I mean homeworks. Unit 1 of Speaking IELTS book is our homework for next sessions.
Yes. You are actually going to have plenty of homeworks. So if you feel like you are actually having a very busy life and you don't have time to study, then I don't recommend this class to you. I'm a kind of strict teacher. So good to know. And I give you homeworks. And I'm not telling you lots of them, but I'm going to give them regularly every session. And let me tell you the truth. If you fall behind the schedule I have for you, you won't be able to make it again. You have to come up with me step by step. and I give you homeworks every session. Homeworks are not very challenging, but they require you to sit down and study. That's the simplest thing I want from you. So the only requirement is to sit down and study. Yeah. And I can actually promise you, by following these steps, you will definitely be able to boost your speaking. You will be so much better than the way you were or you used to be. Mahila, have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you, teacher, for giving me this opportunity.
You are welcome. Wish you lots of success. Let's see. Firuz?
Hello,
Hello there.
thank you. I hope you are doing well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Literally, I have a couple of questions regarding language learning that I would appreciate your insight in.
Okay.
First, could you kindly explain the difference between accent and pronunciation in English?
Sure.
And secondly, I'm sorry, when it comes to vocabulary, is it essential to memorize the exact definition provided in the book, or making by ourselves what we got from that? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for asking these two questions. So I'm going to start with answering the second question. No, you don't have to memorize the exact definition provided in the book. But you have to memorize a definition which is trusted. You can memorize the definition of Oxford Dictionary. You can memorize the definition of Longman Dictionary. You can memorize the definition of Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Or you can memorize the definition a very trustworthy book has published or have provided for you. So any definition works, not a specific one, but you have to memorize definitions, especially some challenging vocabularies that are related to IELTS speaking test. Because if you actually memorize them, you would be able to use them in speaking by paraphrasing it, by saying, for example, I say, my best friend is really big-hearted. What I mean by what I said is that she is quite generous with his time and his money. Instead of just saying big-hearted, I gave you a definition, and this gave me an opportunity to talk more, to talk longer. That's what matters. Definitions are memorized because you want to talk more. So you have to memorize the definitions, but not exactly the definition in the book. You can memorize the definition in other dictionaries, trusted definition. And the first question, what is the difference between accent and pronunciation? Well, the difference is that pronunciation refers to the correct way of saying a vocabulary. The correct way of saying a vocabulary is called pronunciation. For example, in the very example I provided in the first part of this meeting, the correct way of pronouncing is to put the stress on the second syllable and say photographer. Photographer. Now, this is the correct pronunciation. Now, if I want to tell you what accent means, say, for example, let's compare American accent with British accent. If you have American accent, you would say photographer. But if you have British accent, you would say photographer. So British people usually do not pronounce the last re sounds in vocabularies. They just do their best to omit any re sound in their vocabularies on speaking. On the other hand, American people do their best to pronounce every re sound in their language. They sometimes even change re with de. Just like they say, this is what they do. So, accent is what makes your speaking somehow more beautiful and fancy, but pronunciation is what makes your speaking correct. It doesn't matter if you say fair or fe, just like British people, but what matters is that you know the stress is on te, not on fe. I hope I have answered your question. I think I have. Awesome. Okay. Montaz, is there still any other question you want to ask me?
Teacher, is it the same in this TOEFL and IELTS exam are same? Both are same or not? Different?
Of course they are not the same. There are different two systems. The systems are different. The examiners are different. The way they actually mark you is different.
Which one is important?
Neither, honey. It depends on you. Which test are you going to sit? My recommendation for people who do not know which test they are going to sit, or if they are not sure about sitting a kind of international examination, and if they just try to be a good speaker, is to join the other class I have, which is actually going to start from 5th October. The name of the class is Special Speaking. You can join that class. In that class, we're not going to work on the ups and downs of IELTS. What we are going to work in that class is on ups and downs of just speaking, how to speak like native people, what kind of expressions to use to sound like native people, idioms, expressions, how to talk in a conversation, strategies to keep a conversation going. So my recommendation to you is to joining special speaking class if you don't want to sit IELTS. But people who want to sit IELTS, the class I'm talking about is recommended.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anybody? You're welcome. I guess I have answered all the questions. Is there anybody left?
Sorry, teacher, I have also a question.
Sure, go on.
So I am trying to memorize the vocabulary, but I can't. I don't know why I am so focusing on the definition and also the Persian meaning, but I can't memorize the word. I don't know what to do.
Okay. That's a good question, but requires some time. Anyway, I'm going to help you. I hope I can. People are different when it comes to learning. Some people learn something via pictures. Other people learn something if they listen to it. Other people learn it if someone repeats it for them. So the way we learn is somehow different, scientifically speaking. You really need to know which way is easier for you. Some people learn vocabularies by seeing the picture. Therefore, if you learn something by seeing the picture, I highly recommend you a kind of picture dictionary. Or you can go through Google, search for the image, look at the picture, and repeat the vocabulary to yourself. Some people learn vocabularies by listening to it over and over. I kind of learn lots of vocabularies by listening to podcasts. So I can say that I can pretty much pick up lots of vocabularies by simply listening to podcasts. So you can just, the simplest thing you can do is to say the vocabulary several times and record your voice. Also say the definition. In your free time, play that record and listen to it. Most of the times you don't have to, because most of the books and course books have a kind of audio file. You can also use that. Listen and learn. You don't have to sit down and study and make your mind memorize every vocabulary you take. You understand me?
Yes, teacher, I have another question.
Sure.
That Miss Momtaz asked that what is the difference between this class and also the TOEFL class? I also joined a TOEFL class and I passed the reading section, and now I am joining this class. Can you tell me the little bit the difference between these two classes?
You mean special speaking and IELTS speaking?
I mean the TOEFL speaking class and IELTS speaking class.
Okay. Well, as you know, these two exams are different. They have different systems. Because the systems are different, I can tell you that the strategies are a little bit different. So, because we are also going to work on the tips and strategies of each examination, if you are going to sit any specific exam, go for that. If you are not aiming for any specific examination, then you can choose any of them you like, whichever matches with your schedule. But in this class, as I mentioned, I don't know what has happened in the TOEFL class, therefore I cannot compare that class with this class. But in this class that I am going to conduct, we are going to work on the book Collins Speaking for IELTS. You're going to self-study it. You're going to learn lots of things about the topics. I provide you with part 1, part 2, and part 3 speaking tests related to that topic. Say, for example, if the topic for next session is home, you pre-study home section, I ask you questions, and I give you feedback on the way you're speaking. The feedbacks are based on your lexical resources, your pronunciation, range of grammatical structures, fluency and coherence, as well as pronunciation.
Okay, teacher, and which one do you recommend us?
As I mentioned, I have no idea about the TOEFL speaking. I don't know if it's going to be conducted by me or anyone else. All I have information about is this class, I mean IELTS speaking, and the other class, which is a special speaking, which is not related to TOEFL, not related to IELTS, not related to Duolingo. And for my recommendation, I mentioned if you want to sit an exam, come to this class. If you don't want to sit any exam and just looking to upgrade your speaking, come to special speaking.
Thanks, dear teacher, and goodbye.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, Navid, please. Yes, Navid.
Hello, teacher. I hope you're doing well and my classmate as well. Actually, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I have a question regarding the vocabulary usage. We know lots of words, but we are not able to use them while we are speaking. So, what should we do to solve this problem? And also, could you give me some information regarding the class, spatial speaking class that you just spoke about it? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I talked about the special speaking class, but I'm going to talk about it again. In that class, we're just focusing on how to speak better like native people and what expressions to use to sound more native. Therefore, you are not going to learn vocabularies, but you are going to learn some expressions, some idioms that native people usually use in their daily conversations. The topics are different. We have 15 different topics in which we're going to learn how to keep a conversation going with a native person. The special speaking class is really worthwhile for those who don't want to sit any kind of examination like IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, whatsoever. And again, you're going to learn lots of things. You're going to talk and receive feedback. The other question you asked was about vocabularies. Well, yes, this is the problem most of the students have, and I have actually talked about it during this seminar. You know a lot of vocabularies, but the problem you are facing is that you have not activated yet. Activation takes time, takes studying, takes listening, takes watching films and series. No teacher or no other person is going to help you learn vocabularies. You are alone on this way. So the more time you allocate to learning vocabularies, the better you will be at it. You read or actually see a vocabulary on a piece of text, you highlight it, you go for the definition, you write it down in a piece of notebook. This is not enough. One thing that helps you students to activate a vocabulary is reviewing regularly, reviewing that vocabulary every day. Now, I have read some papers and articles about how to learn a vocabulary. Most of the scientists in this field have actually realized the fact that you are actually going to be able to learn a vocabulary mainly by reviewing it 8 times. So you have to actually learn a vocabulary, study it today, then tomorrow you have to review it. The day after tomorrow you have to review it. 2 days after tomorrow you have to review it. And you continue this process for 8 days. And then I can tell you that you will never forget that vocabulary. I hope I can answer your question. If you are saying something, we cannot hear you because, okay. All right, very well. So if you let me, we can call this conference and finish it. Is there anything left you want to talk about? I am done with students and everything.
Thank you so much, Afsana, for the great presentation and valuable information you mentioned. And thank you for answering the questions of the students. For those who had connection problem and we couldn't hear them, don't worry. We have WhatsApp group there. You can ask your question. We will be opening the chat tomorrow or maybe tonight, and you can ask whatever question you may have relevant to the classes, whether it is a special speaking class or maybe IELTS test preparation. You can ask your question in the group. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We have to conclude the session here. Thank you everyone. You can leave.